Hey everyone, welcome back to Reading Corner on the Quacking Pancakes YouTube channel. I'm Evan. So it is the beginning of a new month, which means it's time to reflect on some of the books that I read in February of 2022. Honestly, it was a pretty decent month. I read 3 books, which is the same as last month. All 3 books were pretty good. Some took longer than others, a lot longer. So let's just get right into it. So if you watched last month's video, you know that I've been reading the Harry Potter series. And so to kick things off for February, I read Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Overall, great book. It's a little bit slower than some of the other books. There's not like one main event that takes place. It's kind of like a lot of build up to kind of a meetup at the end. I think what surprised me most about this book is how close the movie followed it. It's almost 900 pages, and I mean, it's almost identical. I'm gonna keep the review super short on this one. This took up most of my month. Like, February is 28 days long, and I think this took about 3 weeks out of those 28 days. So not a whole lot of time for the other books. Fantastic, as usual. Can't wait to read the next 2. Overall, I'd give this 4.2 grubs out of 5. So this next book is kind of interesting. I found it in kind of an untraditional way. I'd never heard of it, but apparently it's a pretty popular thing. So unfortunately, I may have clickbaited you a little bit, and if you've seen this before, you probably already knew what you were getting into. I did not go on a blind date. Well, technically that's not true. I did, but it was with a book. This was a really interesting concept, and I'll throw a couple pictures on screen so you can see what I'm talking about. So what a blind date with a book is there's a table, and it's got a whole bunch of books that are completely wrapped in wrapping paper, and basically what that means is you have no idea what the book is. You can only go off of what is written on the book. Now, for the bookstore that I went to, there are about 20 books, and some of them looked interesting, some of them not so much. And the one that piqued my interest the most was this one right here that hopefully is on screen right now. So a couple of things I noticed. There was the fact that it was a Nordic thriller, and I had no idea what that could mean, and I kind of made some misjudgments at first. When I was thinking of Nordic, I was like, okay, this is gonna be like Vikings, and I'll admit that is not what Nordic means. I now know better, so sad to say it wasn't How to Train Your Dragon or anything like that, which, you know, is okay. I think the thing that got to me the most was the last bullet that said the ending will turn your blood cold as ice. I was like, this is gonna be the best book ever. I'm definitely interested in The Unknown. Flip it over to the back and it'll show you how much it was. In my case, it was $16.99, which is a little bit expensive, I will say. And it's not that the book itself is expensive, it's just the same exact price that it would normally be if it weren't wrapped and you knew exactly what you were getting. So I mean, it's not absurd that it was that amount of money. It was just a little strange that you have no idea, but you're still paying the same price. But regardless, I was really excited to see what it was all about. Now, this was in January. Fast forward to February. So I opened up the book, not really sure what I was gonna expect. Lo and behold, after I get it all open, it turns out to be The Butterfly House by Katrin Engberg. I'm really sorry. And, you know, I had no idea what to expect. So I read the back. I've got to say, whoever wrote the bullet points on the cover, on the wrapping of the book, it sounds like they did a fairly decent job. So I cracked it open and I read it. And I read it in about 2 days. Now, it's not to say that it was because it was the most interesting book in the world. It was just the end of the month and I wanted to finish it before March came around. And I've got to say, it was a good book. It was a mystery novel, just tried and true. Nothing super crazy about it. The first half of the book was really detailed. You learn about, I don't know how many characters, quite a few characters, and it's not like there's just one main character at the beginning. You just get to view all the different characters' viewpoints, and then it kind of just starts to focus in on one particular main character and just him going through and trying to solve some murders that are taking place in Denmark, which is where the Nordic came into play. Should have seen it coming. I don't usually read mystery novels, but it was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I was a little upset at the ending. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm not gonna do that to you guys. But there was kind of a lack of, oh, wow, oh, whoa, I did not see that coming. You can kind of see where it's going. I mean, there's like a couple of things that came out of the blue, but overall, the surprise shocker, it didn't have the punch that I was kind of expecting. Like, it wasn't the person who is doing the things wasn't who I expected, but it wasn't like a whoa, no, which way? And I don't know if it was just because I was expecting more development of certain characters, but I think my favorite thing that I could say about the whole blind date idea is that it kind of exposes you to maybe authors that you're not too familiar with, and the idea of spending money on something that you have no idea what it is, it kind of entices you to finish it. Not saying that this was like boring to the point where I was like, oh man, I really don't want to finish this, but like, you know, you spent the money on it. I kind of feel like I have to finish it, but that was not the case for this book. I enjoyed reading it cover to cover. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, what would I rate it? I would give it a 4 out of 5 butterflies. And finally, we have the third book that I read in the month of February. Now this, if you remember from the last episode, is the book that I mentioned at the end, where I said every month I'll be telling you guys one book in particular that I will for sure be reading for the next month. Just as a way for, if you guys want to read along during the month, by all means, go for it. We can have a discussion in the comments, and that'd be pretty cool. So the book that I left you with last month was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I read this book in 6th grade and didn't really get a whole lot out of it. I must have just thought that I was really cool reading a murder mystery when I was like 12 years old, 11 years old, something like that. I don't think I got anything out of this book in middle school. No idea what was going on. Went back and read it. It's great. It is a foundational murder mystery novel, in my opinion. It came out in the 1930s, and it's still timeless, except for the poem. The poem, they've changed some dialogue for the better. That part, not so great. But besides that fact, the book is fantastic. As a disclaimer, for the books that I mention ahead of time, I will be giving spoilers. So if you're not down for that, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, do all the things, and we'll see you in the next one. But if you're still here, great, fantastic, let's get into it. What this book reminded me of a little bit was Dexter. If you've ever seen the Showtime show Dexter, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Where, and again, here's a little spoiler here. In the end of the book, there is one person in particular, the judge, and he's talking about how he felt like all of the characters needed to pay for what they did, because essentially all of the characters in the book are responsible for a death of somebody, whether it was directly or indirectly. I'm not sure if they were all indirect. No, because someone hit a family with a car. Okay, so not all of them were direct, not all of them were indirect, but spoiler alert, again, close your ears, plug your ears. It is the judge that kills everybody. And it's just really straightforward. Now, unlike the Butterfly House, which I was talking about earlier, there is no one main character. Everybody has their own background. You learn about everybody, and it just kind of, you're like a fly on the wall for the whole entire story. It's a really great book, super fast read, and it's just, if you're not familiar with mystery novels in general, it's just a super quick read to get into, and I think it's a great way to get into that genre. It's kind of funny because in this book, they're referred to as soldier boys, which, you know, the whole time I'm reading it, I just think of soldier boys. So what would I rate it? I would rate it 4.5 soldier boys out of 5. So that'll do it for all the books that I read this month. I'm going to try and do a theme for next month, and it's going to be books that I read solely based on their covers. And now there's going to be a slight disclaimer. I will be reading the backs of them just to make sure they sound interesting. But if the cover isn't cool, I'm not even going to give it the time of day. And like last month, I'm going to give you another featured book, which I will for sure be reading. And it will fall under the category of books that I base solely on its cover. So what book is that? It is Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson. And cover alone, I love the art. The style is pretty cool. And someone is on fire, which is kind of cool. So just like this one, all the books that I choose next month are going to be based on their covers. We'll see how that goes. Could be awful. Who knows? But that's going to do it for this episode of Reading Corner. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all on Friday for the Tiny Table Talk Show. Peace out.